And welcome, sports fans, to today's Sports Roundtable. Glad you joined us right here on YHC, YHCTV.com, and even our Facebook Live for a special football edition of this week's Sports Roundtable. Had some big games last night in the area, and unfortunately, some seasons came to an end once again last night, as we've only got a couple teams that will be advancing in state tournament play this next week in high school football, as we are starting to make the transition from fall into the winter sports. It's all starting to come to an end here for the fall sports, as we've already got softball, volleyball out of the way, that's wrapped up, and now football entering to the state tournament play here in Missouri starting next week. So, Arkansas wrapped up its high school football season last night, which we'll get to, especially there in the 3A3 in Northeast Arkansas and how it wrapped up. So a lot happening over this weekend and last night, Thursday and Friday nights in high school football in our area. So a lot to get to for today. And taking a look at some of the games that took place last night. First, starting off with Class 1 District 1 finals, district championship night last night across Missouri. And we saw Valley Catholic host Hayti last night in that district championship. And Valley Catholic taking care of Hayti 42-18. No problem for Valley Catholic last night. Really expected a better game up there in St. Genevieve this year between Valley Catholic and Hayti. They played last year. Hayti played them a little stronger last year, about to a 20-point deficit. Expected more from the Hayti Indians this year. Just one of those games. Valley, an improved team from last year. Valley had a kind of a down year. A semifinal appearance or a quarterfinal. I think it was a semifinal appearance in the state tournament. A down year for Valley up there, but they return a strong group this year, and very well may be going for another state championship up there in St. Genevieve. So St. Genevieve rolls over Hayti in that district final. And the Class 2 District 1 final that we brought live to you here on YHC last night, it was Caruthersville over Malden, 38-20. And the Caruthersville Tigers playing that district championship last night. And we've got a highlight for you from last night's game. So let's take a look at that from last night. And as we see here early on, one of the first drives for the Tigers, handoff along the right side all the way into the end zone. And quick score for the Tigers. They got two quick scores off of some turnovers, and here's an interception thrown by Brown. Malden turns it over. Two turnovers early on leads to two early scores here for the Tigers, as we see another touchdown thrown, as we saw Bryce Strawn with a big touchdown reception there, a big third and long conversion for the Tigers. Chris Smith on that reception. Now Malden down close to the end zone. They fumble it inside their own 10-yard line, giving it back up to Caruthersville. And we see here Bryce Strawn again with a big reception from Galladay. Takes it in for his second touchdown of the night at that point. And we see here Malden getting on board right before the half to make it 21-8 with the two-point conversion. Nice pass there to and that's from Brown for the touchdown. Into the second half, Stevenson going in for a nice touchdown run. And we see here Galladay rolling out, looking for Strawn. Again, Bryce Strawn with the touchdown reception there in the second half. And Caruthersville goes back up a couple of scores. Here we see Stevenson in for another tough run into the end zone. Malden hanging tough, but in the end, we see here a 28-20 game get put out of reach for the Green Wave. A field goal by the Caruthersville Tigers to make it 31-20, and Caruthersville would go on to have another score to push it up to 38-20. But that was pretty much the game there with that field goal. Made it a two-possession game with under 4 minutes to play. Malden had a tough night early on. They had two quick turnovers there in the first quarter that gave Caruthersville some short fields. Got in two quick scores, but from that point on, that 14-0, and it actually got up to 21-0. And then Malden scored right before the halftime break and went to 21-8. And then we had a 28-20 game there late in the fourth quarter. And then the field goal made it 31-20. Then a score late by Caruthersville to push it to 38-20 saw a pretty good game from that 14-0 point, or even that 21-0 score on, especially in the second half. Malden really came out aggressive, a quick score in the second half, but just come up a bit short. We'll talk more about that game in our next segment with our storylines from the area. But pretty good game last night. Hopefully everyone enjoyed that. We brought live to you. We're going to replay that today, and over the weekend we'll talk about that coming up. And in Class 3, District 1, in that district championship, Park Hills Central knocking off third-seeded Salem 42-3. And Park Hills Central claims another district championship with their victory over Salem last night. And in Class 4, District 1, top-seeded Hillsboro defeating third Cape Central up in Hillsboro 36-28. Cape Central falling just short, but impressive season for Cape Central. Coming up a bit short, but Hillsboro moves on in that Class 4 District 1 state tournament. Almost 3 scores. It's unbelievable. But Vianney put up a lot of points. The defending Class 5 state champions. And Jackson, it's very rare that you score 50 points and kind of get blown out, even though that's a lot of points to put up on the board by the Indians. But Vianney just a juggernaut of an offense to score 70 in that game. But a lot of offensive possessions in that game, both teams going up the field. Plenty of possessions in that game and the opportunity to put up that many points. But the Jackson Indians season comes to an end in that district final last night against Vianney. And certainly the highlight of their season last week, that triple overtime victory against Poplar Bluff in that district semifinal. So great season for the Jackson Indians to end with a district final appearance, putting up 51 points in a district championship game. No shame in that, but very good Vianney team, very good offense for Vianney, and looking to repeat as Class 5 state champions in Missouri. And we'll talk more about those matchups going forward in state tournament play in football. We want to touch on high school football down in Arkansas. The Pickett Mohawks got a Thursday night victory over Corning, shut them out 42-0, and Pickett concludes their season with a victory in that Rice Bowl against Corning Thursday night. And we'll talk more about the Pickett season going forward, but impressive victory for the Pickett Mohawks in that victory over Corning in the Rice Bowl Thursday night. And also sticking with Northeast Arkansas, Rector got a win. Not sure if that was Thursday or Friday night, but an 18-12 victory over Midland. Rector, I think that might be their first win of the year, if I'm not mistaken, but getting on the board for this year. A win for the Rector Cougars. They're getting that program back up. I think they've been back about 2 or 3 years now. I think 3 years now going on, trying to get that program back up. And got a victory last night, or Thursday night, over Midland, 18-12. And also in the 3A3 last night, the 3A3 conference has been great to watch. Great matchups across the board in the 3A3 this year. And Rivercrest defeated Osceola 28-25. Close one between those two teams. Come down to the district or the conference championship between those two down in Arkansas, Northeast Arkansas. And Rivercrest already had a loss in the conference. I believe it was Newport that defeated Rivercrest, and Osceola was undefeated. Rivercrest got that victory over Osceola, so they got the head-to-head victory over Osceola, so they are the district champions, and we'll move on into the playoffs as a number 1 seed in the state tournament in Arkansas in the Class 3A. So Osceola undefeated in the conference up until the other night, and Rivercrest winning that conference over Osceola in that conference championship. So very impressive conference once again this year. They're in the 3A3. And I want to let you know that you can watch the Malden and Caruthersville replay from last night, Friday night, here on YHC. And that will be replaying Saturday here at 1. Might be a little later, might be about 1:30. Trying to get that ready from last night here for replay today. Also catch it Sunday at 5 here on YHC TV. And we'll get that uploaded later on today here Saturday on YHCTV.com, where you can watch online there as well. So pretty good game there. Always a classic between those two schools going at it, Malden and Caruthersville. Watch the replay here on YHC through the weekend. And we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk about the storylines from last night and all the matchups in the area. And we're going to be back with that coming up.
At First Missouri Bank of SEMO, we are your hometown community bank, and to us, people matter. We're at 3 locations in Dexter, Malden, and Kennett to serve your banking needs. We have a new website, myfm.bank, with online banking capability, and we also offer mobile banking on the go. A new feature of FM Bank for money-saving benefits is Bazing. Premium benefits include personal identity theft protection, travel accident insurance, cell phone protection, and 24/7 roadside assistance. Our financial strength and exemplary customer service have proven that FM Bank is more than just a bank, and our customers are more than just a number. Stop by and see us today.
Hey, this is Daryl Wilcoxon from Wilcoxon's Home Place Furniture and Appliance at 901 South Bypass in Kennett. We've got lots of living room suites, mattresses, and appliances that we need to sell quick to make room for new products that are arriving daily. Come in today for a free gift as a token of our appreciation just for stopping in while supplies last. These deals won't last much longer, so hurry in to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime event. Wilcoxon's Home Place Furniture and Appliance, 901 South Bypass in Kennett, Missouri, a family furniture tradition for 70 years.
And welcome back, and take a look at your storylines from last night in the area. As we mentioned, down in Northeast Arkansas, Piggott finished their season 7-3, another impressive season for the Mohawks as they finished 7-3, coming off their victory against Corning last night. And they finished fourth place in the 3A3 conference, and a very, very competitive conference this year. Piggott, an improved team from last year. Record-wise, they go from 8-2 to 7-3. That really doesn't represent that the Mohawks did any worse than last year, or even a worse team. But the conference got a whole lot better this year. Pretty much those top 4 teams, you could almost interchange them throughout the season. If they replayed the season, you might see a different outcome in those top 4 when it comes to the 3A3 there. Rivercrest winning first place. Osceola second place, Hoxie third place, and the Piggott Mohawks finish in 4th place. And they'll also be taking 5th place. I think that might be Newport finishing in 5th place. That'll be going to the playoffs in the 3A3. And the Piggott Mohawks' first playoff game is set. They are taking on Prescott in the first round once again this year. They faced off them in the second round of the playoffs. They had a first week victory in the playoffs last year on the road, and they're going to actually go on the road. And then they went to Prescott in the second round, lost to them on the road in Prescott last year. And actually, that's going to be their first round matchup this year. So that's kind of the disadvantage of going from a 3 seed last year. They got to play, I believe, not sure if they played a 3 seed last year or I can't exactly remember last year if they played a 2 or 3 seed on the road and then faced actually a top seed Prescott on the road, I believe, as a 3 seed. I might be wrong on that, but either way, they faced Prescott in the second round last year, and now they're going to face off with them in the first round. And what a trip! I mean, that's almost a Texarkana. They're down in Southwest Arkansas. They made an all-day trip to get down there and play that game on a Friday night, and that'll be set for next Friday night down in Prescott once again. They're in Southwest Arkansas, almost to Texarkana down there. Unbelievable. The trip they've got to take for a first-round playoff game. Unbelievable. I think it's a 5-hour trip, I believe. Might be a little more than that. So quite a trip for the Piggott Mohawks next Friday night, taking on Prescott in the first round in Southwest Arkansas for a first-round playoff game. And Prescott's a 2 seed, so Piggott, the 4 seed, going to have to play a 2 seed in their conference finish. Prescott finishing as a 2 seed, so Piggott got a tough matchup. And speaking of the matchup, Prescott, very good team this year. I can't recall if they won the state championship last year or not, but they were one of the top teams in the state and expected to do well once again this year. Take a look at the Hootens.com Arkansas football Class 3A rankings. Junction City at number 1 coming into this week at 9-0. 2 Charleston, 3 Prescott. So Prescott there at number 3 at 9-1 coming in, or 8-1 coming into this season, or this week, And as you see there, Piggott's going to take on the 3rd-ranked team in the state in Prescott this coming Friday night. And down the way, as you see there, some 3A3 teams there. Osceola at number 7, and right behind them, 8 Rivercrest. And down the way there at number 19 is the Piggott Mohawks. So pretty tough matchup for the Mohawks next Friday night. Wish them all the best of luck in their playoff game. It's been fun covering the Mohawks this year, and hopefully they can go on the road and put up a good fight against Prescott in that playoff game. And moving on to some other storylines from last night, and the game we brought to you last night, Caruthersville wins their first district title last night since 2013, and Malden had a 3-year stretch of district championships, looking for their 4th straight district title. Come up a bit short, 38-20 to the Caruthersville Tigers. Charles Galladay had a big night, 226 total yards, passing and rushing. A couple of touchdown passes. Actually, I think he had 3 touchdown passes in the game, and really nice night throwing the ball. Actually, I think he had 2 touchdown passes. Might be 3. But either way, a big night from Galladay. And Bryce Strawn had a couple of touchdown receptions. And one storyline coming away from that game that is going to affect Caruthersville. Nicholas Moore, one of the main running backs for pretty much the feature back now. That DeAndre Davis went down in week 3 with a knee injury and out for the year. Nicholas Moore, he had about a 5-yard carry. I believe it was in the 4th quarter of the game when the Tigers were pretty much pretty much wrapping up that game last night. He got called for a personal foul and was ejected, and I saw putting some tape together for the highlight this morning that basically there was a kind of a pile-up, and one of the Malden tacklers took him down, and Nicholas Moore actually punched one of the Malden tacklers in the helmet when they were on the ground. A couple of refs threw the flag, personal foul, penalty, and it was ejected. So basically any punch thrown is an ejectable offense on that personal foul. So it looks like Nicholas Moore will not be in next week's game in the Class 2 quarterfinals. It's going to be a pretty big blow to the Caruthersville offense. He was a big part of that offense since DeAndre Davis went down. He was pretty much the feature back for the Caruthersville Tigers. So with that ejection, I believe the rule is you cannot play the next game, as Nicholas Moore might be out for the Tigers. So that will be a disadvantage for the Tigers. They're going to play a talented Lutheran North team next week. So that's one big storyline affecting the Caruthersville Tigers going forward. But back to this series, these teams have faced off for 5 years straight now. Malden had a stretch of 3 straight district titles and a state championship appearance, a semifinal appearance, and last year a quarterfinal appearance, and a great run by the Malden Green Wave. We've been seeing some of the best football out of Malden we've ever seen these last handful of years, and that streak snapped last night with a very experienced Caruthersville team, a lot of seniors on this club, very talented, a lot of speed, a lot of talent, and it just won out last night as Caruthersville claims their first district title since 2013, moving on to the Class 2 quarterfinals, and we'll take a look at that bracket here momentarily. And also, Valley Catholic rose to their 10th straight district championship, and they had a string of about 5 or 6 straight state titles up until a couple of years ago where that was snapped. But 10th straight district championship with Valley rolling over Hayti last night. Kind of expected more out of the Hayti Indians last night. It seems like they had a lot of playmakers this year coming back, and Valley not exactly what they were probably 2 and 3 years ago when they were making that big run of state championships. So I thought that might be an opening for Hayti to go up there and compete for that district title, but as it's always been for the most part, Valley too much for some of the Boot Hill teams that match up in that district title. But a fine season for Hayti once again this year. A lot of talent. We're going to see that roll over to the basketball season for sure. So congratulations to the Hayti Indians on a great season. Just coming up a bit short the Valley, which certainly a whole lot of teams will throughout the season. So Valley Catholic will move on to the Class 1 quarterfinals in state tournament play. And also, Cape Central falling short for their quest of a fifth straight district championship. They were on the road against Hillsboro last night and put up a great effort. 36-28 loss, just a touchdown and a 2-point conversion was the spread in that game on the road against Hillsboro. But Cape Central having a great run. Arlen Pixley's done a great job since he's been up there the last number of years and had a great season this year. Avenged that loss to Sykeston a couple weeks ago. Went on the road against North County last week to get that semifinal victory. Just coming up a bit short against the Hillsboro Hawks last night. And some big performances. Cameron Clark had a big night passing over 200 yards. And one of the receivers, Joseph, can't remember his last name, but here he had 100 yards, over 100 yards receiving. So a big night for him as well. So big effort by the Cape Central Tigers last night, just coming up a bit short, but a great run they've had for the last 4 years, 4 straight district titles, and just come up a bit short for that 5th one last night. But another great season wrapped up for the Cape Central Tigers. And taking a look at some other news in the area, taking a look at high school baseball. We've got some signings from Kennett, and Kennett's Zane Wallace. Saw him on the football field this year, making big plays on the football field. Big-time baseball player as well, signing with Three Rivers College this week to play college baseball starting next year. And also Brenton Tidd also signs with Three Rivers College from Kennett to play college baseball there at Three Rivers College. So congratulations to those two from Kennett signing with Three Rivers College this week. And we're going to now take a look at the Class 1 state tournament in high school football. Here are the 8 teams remaining, the quarterfinal round matchups. Valley Catholic will take on Thayer. Valley Catholic and Thayer in that quarterfinal round, and those are local, the most local teams there with Valley and Thayer. And down the other way, Lockwood with Golden City takes on Lincoln, Monroe City takes on Western, and East Buchanan takes on Princeton with Mercer. So the winner of those games will match up in the semifinal round, and these matchups will take place next Friday night in the quarterfinals of Class 1 high school football in Missouri. And take a look at Class 2, Caruthersville matching up with Lutheran North, and Lutheran North knocking off Trinity Catholic last night. Big matchup, heard the word it was over 5,000 people in attendance for that Lutheran North and Trinity Catholic game up there in St. Louis. Trinity Catholic making it all the way to the state championship last year, falling to Lamar. But Lutheran North, a very good team coming back, a lot of talent on that field last night. Lutheran North gets the victory, and Caruthersville will take on Lutheran North. I'm not exactly sure who will host that game. Let's actually take a look here. That's one thing I did not check out this morning. Who will actually host that game? We'll check out very quickly here. And that game will be at Caruthersville. Caruthersville will host Lutheran North next Friday night. So a big game for the Caruthersville Tigers, hosting Lutheran North for that Class 2 quarterfinal game. So a little advantage there for Caruthersville. It's going to be a tough matchup, though, especially if they're going to be without Nicholas Moore for that game due to that ejection Friday night. But good luck to the Caruthersville Tigers. That'll be a tough matchup, but big-time football coming to the Boot Hill next Friday night as Lutheran North comes to town as one of the top teams in the state in Class 2. And down the way there, Ava and Lamar in the other quarterfinal, North Callaway versus Clark County, and Holden versus Lafayette County. So big matchups there in the Class 2 quarterfinals. And those are your matchups. They're the only local teams there. Valley and Thayer there in Class 1 and Caruthersville in Class 2. Other than that, we don't really have any local teams other than Park Hill Central up the way there in Class 3. Way up there, going to be competing in Class 3. Other than that, all of our local teams are eliminated and getting ready for basketball. Basketball practice, or winter sports practice, got underway this week with wrestling, basketball, any of the other winter sports. They got underway this week in Missouri. Arkansas has actually been playing for a couple weeks already down there in the non-football schools. So here in Missouri, going to be getting ready for basketball season, and we're going to be probably getting underway a month from last night, probably, as will be probably our first game of the year will be the Hawkham Invitational Tournament Finals. That'll be the Friday after that Thanksgiving weekend, the first week of December. So we'll be getting together our basketball schedule here in the next week or so, and we'll be looking forward to publishing that here in the next few weeks. So starting to make that transition, only a few teams remaining in high school football. We'll see what run they can put together in state tournament play, and also the Pig and Mohawks down the way there in northeast Arkansas entering their playoffs this next week. So we're pretty much getting into a slow period now. There's going to be a couple weeks here as we're not going to have really anything going on at the local level and high school play, starting to make that transition into the winter sports. So it's going to be fun once we get into basketball season. That's our busiest time, and we'll be looking forward to it once again. And we're going to take one more break and come back with some college and NFL and other national storylines heading into the weekend. So we'll be back with that coming up.
If you're out and about in a big hurry and you're looking for a place to get gas, don't worry. The most complete convenience store has everything for you, like pork steak and 99-cent barbecue. So get out the truck and fill her up, 'cause we're the place to go if you're on the go. On the go. Or the coldest beer in town. On the go. Best fried chicken around. On the go is in Dexter and Bloomfield. You know we're the place to go if you're on the go. Hey!
And welcome back, and let's take a look at some college football games taking place today here on Saturday for the weekend. 7th-ranked Penn State on the road taking on 24th-ranked Michigan State. In that Big Ten matchup, Penn State coming off a heartbreaking loss to Ohio State, a big game, probably game of the year last week in the Big Ten there, as Penn State's on the road against Michigan State today. 9th-ranked Wisconsin at Indiana in the Big Ten. South Carolina, top-ranked Georgia. Georgia takes over the top ranking due to the college football playoff rankings coming out this week. Georgia gets the 1 spot, and Alabama gets the 2 spot. Alabama's been ranked number 1 in the AP poll all year, but once the college football playoff rankings come out, they pretty much go with those rankings. So Georgia, the top-ranked team in the country as of now with that college football playoff ranking. 6th-ranked Ohio State at Iowa in the Big Ten. 21st-ranked Stanford at 25th. Washington State in the Pac-12. 4th-ranked Clemson at 20th-ranked NC State in the ACC. 5th-ranked Oklahoma at 11th. Oklahoma State in the Big 12. 13th-ranked Virginia Tech at 10th-ranked Miami in the ACC. 19th-ranked LSU at 2nd-ranked Alabama in the SEC. Alabama might actually have a decent game today. It seems like they've been rolling through their schedule each week. Big one there in Tuscaloosa, rivalry between LSU and Alabama. Also later on tonight, 22nd-ranked Arizona at 17th-ranked USC. They're in the Pac-12. So those are the big national matchups taking place this weekend here on Saturday. And then our local team, Southeast Missouri State, will host UT Martin in the OVC Conference matchup today at 1 o'clock at Houck Stadium in Cape Girardeau. The Red Hawks at 2-6 on the year. UT Martin coming in at 4-4. So hopefully the Red Hawks can get a home victory for an OVC matchup for today. And the Arkansas State Red Wolves have a bye week this weekend, so they won't be playing this weekend. They're in A-State. And those are the matchups to look forward to. The World Series wrapped up this week in a great matchup. It kind of ended with a whimper as the Houston Astros got out early and the Dodgers couldn't put up any runs. Won that, I believe it was 4-1 or 5-1. Can't exactly remember earlier in the week. But the Astros, took the Dodger crowd out of it, the LA crowd out early on. Just didn't really have that climactic ending that we probably expected with that series going down to the wire. It seemed like each game and the runs being put up in bunches. But great series as George Springer had a heck of a series, MVP for the Astros in that World Series, and the Astros are getting their first ever franchise World Series championship in their 55-year history. So history made in this World Series, and a great heavyweight matchup. I think it's only the 8th time ever we've had 100-plus win teams in the World Series. And I think the last time since maybe the 70s or something like that. It was it's pretty rare. You get 200 win teams into a World Series. We actually had 3 in the playoffs itself. So a lot of big time teams this year competing in a really good playoff season. Competitive games, competitive series, a lot of drama, which that's Major League Baseball playoffs right there. Games going down to the end and game 7s, and we certainly got that this year in our playoff season. So Major League Baseball wrapped up, and now we're in the thick of the NFL, the college football, and forgot about the college football, NFL matchups taking place this weekend. The Falcons at the Panthers in the NFC South. Big matchup there. The Falcons need a win. They're starting to fall behind in those NFC South standings. The Panthers still hanging pretty tough, and the Saints actually looking really good. They're in the NFC South. As you see down the way there, they're taking on the Buccaneers, which the Buccaneers struggling at this point of the season, but the Saints on top there in the NFC South. Falcons and Panthers both need a win to stay there in striking range of that NFC South crown of the Saints. The Colts at the Texans, and bad news for both of those clubs this week. Both the Colts and the Texans will be without their top quarterbacks for this year. The Colts announced that Andrew Luck is going on injured reserve, so he's going to be out for the remainder of the year. Hadn't played one down of football this year. Went out, I believe, in the last half of last season with a torn labrum in his throwing shoulder, his right shoulder, and has had some complications recovering from that, trying to get back into playing shape, and it's just not gone well for him this year. And the Colts are struggling, so really no sense of bringing him back with a struggling team that's likely not going to make the playoffs. So he's going to take off the year and try to come back fresh next year. So pretty much a lost season for the Colts this year, much like the 2011 season when Peyton Manning went out for the year. Looks a lot like that season. Maybe not as bad, but Jacoby Brissett coming in, doing a fair job with the circumstances there in Indianapolis, doing the best he can, and they've got a couple wins, but probably won't expect much more out of the Colts this year. And Deshaun Watson, what a rookie season he's had this year. I think he's got 19 touchdowns in only 7 games. He missed the first game, just not being the starter. Tom Savage started the first game for the Texans, and he's blew it up ever since that Week 2 game on. 19 touchdowns through only 7 games. He was going to be the runaway rookie of the year for the Texans, and boy, he's been one of the top quarterbacks in the league this year, even as a rookie. And he went down with a torn ACL in practice this week. Just a heartbreaker for the Texans. Looked like they were going to make a playoff run, even go after that AFC South championship this year, and with a great quarterback in Deshaun Watson going down, that's just it's a heartbreaker. Well, the Texans have really been devastated by injury. 3 of their top defenders went out with season-ending injuries. Whitney Merciless, I think he had a torn pectoral muscle. Big-time defensive tackle for them went out. J.J. Watt, of course, defensive end. He's out for the year. I can't remember exactly what he went down with, but something in his back, I believe. He's out for the year. Brian Cushing, big-time middle linebacker for the Texans, out for the year. Can't remember exactly what injury, but he's out for the year as well. He's had a string of injuries the last couple of years. Those 3 big-time defenders out for the year. Now your big-time franchise quarterback out for the year. It's just not the Texans' year. That's certainly bad luck for the Texans this year, but they still might be there in the mix with a weak AFC South. Believe it or not, the Jackson Jaguars might come away with that AFC South championship this year. They've got a much improved team, especially on the defensive end. The Colts and Texans, that's just going to be the solemn bowl this weekend between those two, because really bad weeks with their top quarterback going to be out for the year. And down the way, the Rams at the Giants in the NFC, the Broncos at the Eagles. You're probably looking at the most disappointing team of the year in the Broncos right now, and then the most impressive team thus far in the season in the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Broncos have lost 3 straight, and it very well might be 4 straight after this Sunday's game with the Eagles on the road in Philadelphia. Brock Osweiler named the starter for the Broncos. Trevor Siemian going to be benched after having a really rough stretch the last number of games and having a 3-interception night against Kansas City Monday night on Monday Night Football. Brock Osweiler making the full circle. He was going to be the heir apparent to Peyton Manning a couple of years ago. Ended up signing with the Texans last year. Got paid big money. I think he got his $16, $17, $18 million. Can't exactly remember what the figure was. Big time money, and the Houston Texans released him. Picked up by the Browns in the offseason, made a trade with the Browns, or they didn't release him, they actually traded him to the Browns. And the Browns released him during training camp, I believe, and the Broncos picked him back up. And I think the Broncos paying him the league minimum, a couple $100,000 a year, and the Browns paying the remainder of the salary, I believe around $16-17 million of that salary. So Brock Osweiler got his money and going to be starting for the Broncos. So I guess if he actually plays well, I guess he could hang on to that job. So he ended up getting the money he wanted and being the quarterback of the Broncos in the end. But the Broncos, keeping him instead of paying, I think they offered him $14 million a year. John Elway offered him $14 million a year to remain with the Broncos. They passed on him, started Trevor Siemian instead, and now they got Brock Osweiler back at quarterback, paying him a couple $100,000 instead of $14 million. So, pretty good financial deal there for the Broncos, but not so much for the Browns. But strange how that works out. Brock Osweiler goes full circle, now starting for the Denver Broncos this weekend. And in other games, Cardinals at the 49ers. Big news for the 49ers this week. They obtained quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, backup quarterback for the Patriots. He's been in trade talks for a year now. Played very well in replacing Tom Brady in his suspension last year. And a lot of talks around the league, him being traded, and they traded him on this Week 8 deadline, the trade deadline, to the 49ers. And the 49ers have pretty much said that he likely will not play this year. 49ers are winless so far this year, 0-8. So they probably don't want to mess with that. No, they'll get a high draft pick, and they traded Garoppolo, traded their second round pick for this coming year's draft to the Patriots for Jimmy Garoppolo. So 49ers may have been in the free agency for Kirk Cousins in the offseason, but now they think they've got their franchise quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo, so probably expect a better season going forward next year with the 49ers. So they're probably not going to mess with that winless season right now. Try to make the best with the draft pick they can get in this year's coming draft this summer. And also, we got the Redskins at the Seahawks in the NFC. The Chiefs at the Cowboys. Big matchup there, as the Chiefs will go on the road taking on the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium this weekend. The Raiders at the Dolphins for Sunday Night Football on NBC. And the Lions at the Packers in the NFC North for Monday Night Football. So those are your matchups taking place this weekend in the NFL. And that's pretty much all we're going to be able to bring to you for today. And we appreciate you for tuning in as always. And we'll be looking forward to having you back with us. We might not have a roundtable next Saturday. We will have a Veterans Day parade here in downtown Dexter. We might have the roundtable, but it will not be at 10 a.m. as usual, likely due to that Veterans Day parade here in downtown Dexter. We're going to televise, so just keep in mind of that. But we'll probably have it, but just not at the live scheduled time. So, and it won't be a whole lot to talk about either, unless, other than those Caruthersville and Valley Catholic football games and Pigot's playoff game in Prescott next Friday night. Those are the games that we'll be talking about. And after that, pretty much not much to talk about until basketball season comes in early December. So that'll do it for us today, and we appreciate you for tuning in as always, and we'll look forward to